us have played with rubber bands, and almost, I think, every day we see or we use rubber bands. But we will find out tonight what the law of the rubber band is and how it relates to our growth. Now, the law of the rubber band simply says growth stops when you lose the tension between where you are and where you could be. So we will find out later on what's this tension, or how important is the tension between where you are and where you could be. Now, for the past 10 weeks, we've been talking about growth. We've been talking about becoming better. We've been talking about reaching our full potential for the glory of God. But that growth cannot happen when we stay in our comfort zones. When we choose a life of convenience and comfort over a life of challenges and courage. So let's begin this the law of the rubber band, right? Let me. Okay. So in your workbook, you have there number one, a series of stretches. So God's gift to us is our potential. If you recall during the first few discussions of the 15 laws of invaluable laws of growth, we said that one of the most beautiful words in the English language is the word potential, because it talks about possibilities. It talks about growth. It talks about not staying the way we are, but improving and becoming excellent and exceptional in what we do. So, potential is God's gift to us. Everybody has potential. Everybody has the opportunity to grow. Everyone has the potential to become better than what we were yesterday, to level up, to become the best that we can be for God. And since God has given us potential as His gift, our gift to God, or what we can offer back to God, is developing that gift. um, I think we all know about the talents, no? The parable of the talents, where God has given gifts or talents to His servants, and some just hid it, and some um, traded it. And of course, those who use it and traded it and multiplied it were the ones whom God rewarded and called faithful. And those who did not do anything about the talents that they were given, they were actually reprimanded. Okay? So this is very important. You have a potential. I have a potential. And our gift to God is when we use that potential, that gift that He has given to us, and develop it into something that can be used for His honor and glory and serving others. Now, what does rubber bands have to do with this um, topic about God's gift to us? You see, rubber bands, okay? If you just put rubber bands, say for example, on the top of your table, it's useless, right? You cannot use it. Rubber bands, if you just put it there, they're they're of no use. But when you stretch it, when you begin to stretch rubber bands, that's when they can hold pencils together. That's when they can hold vegetables together, and so on. So the only use, or the rubber bands become usable only when they are stretched. And it's the same thing with us. Growth happens when you stretch beyond your comfort zone. That means if you stay in your comfort zone, we are not going to be usable, or we are not going to optimize the potential, the talent, the gift that God has given to us. So it's basically differentiating between comfort and courage. Okay, later on we will talk about your comfort zone and your courage zone because comfort creates nothing. Just like what you see in this picture. A rubber band sitting loose in a drawer is useless. Okay, in the same way, we who most of the time are in our comfort zones and not being stretched, we are also useless. But when tension is there, when it is being stretched, it becomes powerful. It becomes usable. It becomes something that is significantly important because it can hold things together like probably um, no other thing can. So tension creates everything. Now, most of us would dislike tensions, right? Most of us would like to be, comfortable, less tension, less stress, less pressure. That's the comfort zone. And that's where we don't grow a lot. Okay? Now, true life begins at the end of our comfort zone. And we arrive there by stretching. Yes, we can exist. We may exist. We can, do things um, day in and day out. But it's only when we get out of our comfort zones and stretch, that's when we experience true life, reaching our potential and experiencing the satisfaction of being all we can be for God's glory. Now, what is a comfort zone? Okay, so we have here a description of what a comfort zone is. Comfort zone is characterized by doing the same things, routine, okay, doing the same things. In fact, a lot of people resist change. Okay, it's what we have been doing ever since. Why change? Okay, so they keep on doing the same things in the same ways with the same people at the same time and getting the same results and asking the same question: why? So that is the description of a comfort zone. That means you don't want to be bothered anymore. You don't want in current organizations, whenever there are significant changes that will happen, people have to be retooled. People have to be prepared for new technology, for new processes. And of course, those who have been used to what they were used to do would resist the change because they're already comfortable in what they're doing and they don't want to be stretched anymore. So that's the comfort zone. Now, this is what I've been talking about earlier: the comfort zone and the courage zone. So, can you have a little assessment of yourself tonight? Um, where do you think you're located in your life? Your comfort zone. Okay, that means you're there, you're convenient, you're comfortable, you're there's no significant pressure or tension, or you are in an environment which we call courage zone. That means you're being stretched, you're being expected to grow and to become better and to become exceptional in what you do, to become excellent. Okay, there's a push, there's a stretch, there's a there's the environment is expecting you to go beyond, okay, your capacity and really reach your full potential. Again, can you do a little assessment of your own life? Are you in your comfort zone or are you in your courage zone? That means there are um, tests, there are pressures, but it it gives you more wisdom, more experience, and more courage. Now, look at the difference between the two. Comfort zone, it may it may just be um, comprising of small dreams or fear, but there is also, or there's no risk because you're already familiar with that zone, but there could also be doubt. Like, what if I tried it? What I could have been better? Okay. And then you become insecure. And then you're afraid. And most of all, there's regret. Okay. I've said this several times. Probably one of the saddest words that we will say in our lifetime is, I could have been great. I could have been better. I could have done more. Okay. I could have grown. And that's where the courage zone is giving us. Okay. There's growth, there's opportunity, there's well being, of course, success. It gives you confidence, and you have reach not only small dreams but big dreams. Okay, so this is what the law of the rubber band is: getting out of our comfort zone, being stretched, okay, to a certain limit. Of course, anything that you stretch beyond its limit eventually will break, right? So we're talking about a healthy stretching, a healthy um, you know tension that we can, just to motivate us to be better, to be exceptional, and to excel in what we do. Now, this is very important. Few people want to stretch. Most people, they just want to remain average. In fact, when people, and this is quite common, probably in some communities, in workplaces, because people are average, they are threatened when people begin to excel. So, average people want other people to stay average. And that's where, the crab mentality gets in. When people try to become better, people would pull them down. They would talk about them in a bad way. They would try to, say bad things about them, because most people just want to stay average. The real tragedy is the tragedy of the man who never in his life braces himself for his one supreme effort. He never stretches to his full capacity, never stands up to his full stature. Um, I read this many years ago about the judgment seat of Christ. We all know that as believers of Jesus, as Christians, as saved individuals, the judgment that we will face eventually is the judgment seat of Christ, where God will reward what have we done after we got saved. Now, someone kind of presented a different approach, okay, a different idea about, what if God during that time will show me what you could have been if you only pursued the will of God for your life, if you only have the courage, if you only have faith over fear. And I think it's very sad seeing yourself. That could have been me. That could I could have been used by God in bigger ways, in mightier ways, in more ways. But I only stayed in my comfort zone. Okay. Not stretching to his full capacity, never standing up to his full stature. What a waste, right? It's a waste. But hey, brothers and sisters, we're not yet there. Many of us can still do something between now and the time that we will face the Lord in the judgment seat of Christ. That means This is not an accident why we're here tonight. This is something that could open our eyes so that we can take action and say, what can I do? How can I become better? How can I reach my full potential for the Lord? How can I stretch to my full capacity and stand up to the stature that God has intended for me? Now, wouldn't it be amazing if we have that realization tonight and then starting tomorrow, start becoming what God has intended for us to become? All right. I love this. Uh, Maybe this is a poem or a write up. It's defining average. Um, I'll read this. So that I love this um, uh, poem. Average. So what's average? Average is what the failures claim to be when their family and friends ask them why they are not more successful. Average is the top of the bottom, the best of the worst, the bottom of the top, the worst of the best. Which of these are you? Average means being run off the mill, mediocre, insignificant, and also ran a non-entity. Being average is the lazy person's cop out. It's lacking the guts to take a stand in life. It's living by default. Being average is to take up space for no purpose, to take the trip through life, but never to pay the fare, to return no interest for God's investment in you. Being average is to pass one's life away with time rather than to pass one's time away with life. It's to kill time rather than to work it to death. To be average is to be forgotten once you pass from this life. The successful are remembered for their contributions. The failures are remembered because they tried. But the average, the silent majority, is just forgotten. To be average is to commit the greatest crime one can against oneself, humanity, and one's God. The saddest epitaph is this: here lies Mr. and Miss Average. Here lies the remains of what might have been, except for their belief that they were only average. Wow. I decided to read this whole statement, this whole paragraph, because it's so full of reality, of truth. And this is what most people want in life. They just want to stay average, simple life, simple living, just to be, just to kill time. Okay, since I am here, okay, then just okay, um, they kill time. But I think what caught my attention in this piece is to return no interest for God's investment in you. Remember, God has gifted us with potential. And our gift to God is when we develop it and invest it to reach the highest potential. Okay. And I also like this phrase. Um, it's the greatest crime against oneself. Okay. That means you're not doing yourself a favor. You're missing out on opportunities that you could have enjoyed on others because others were also deprived of the blessings that could have experienced if you only reach your full potential. And of course, against God who has given us this opportunity. And what a sad epitaph. Here lies Mr. Average. Here lies the remains of what might have been, except for their belief that he was only average. I hope we remember this poem because most people are just average. They don't want to become exceptional. Now, let me ask you this. Is average interesting? You know, um, a lot of people would say, for example, you ate in a particular restaurant, and someone asked you, "Hey, how did you find the experience? How did you find that restaurant where you dined at?" And then people say, "Oh, I love it very much. It's so average." Are you interested? Okay. Right now, people would say, yeah, so, you know, fine, nothing exceptional, nothing um, worth remembering. So there's nothing good about being average. Okay. Now, the problem is if you're average on something that you should be good at, that's a problem. Of course, none of us are exceptional in every area of our life, and that's what we will talk about later. But it's a crime, let me repeat, it's not right to be average in something that you could be exceptional in. You have giftedness, you have a choice, but you just chose to remain average. Now, if you look at this verse in First Corinthians chapter 15 in verse number 10, many of you are familiar with this verse. Of course, the apostle Paul would ascribe who he is and what he has accomplished to the grace of God, because that's true. Without the grace of God, we are nothing. But look at the verse. But by the grace of God, I am what I am. And his grace, which was bestowed upon me, was not in vain, but I labored more abundantly than they all. Yet not I, but the grace of God which was with me. You see, the grace of God that was given to the Apostle Paul is also available to all believers. That's why the Apostle Paul said that grace which was bestowed upon me was not in vain. It's not wasted. I developed it. I labored more abundantly than they all. I ensured that I am able to reach all the people that I need to reach because of the grace of God. That means when we say we are who we are by the grace of God, it's not as if we did nothing, okay? But it's the grace of God who works through us, and we did our part. We worked hard. We chose to be the best that we can be, and it's still all because of the grace of God. Okay, so it's very important. Average would seek comfort. Exceptional would seek growth. And I've seen so many people, especially in government. I'm with government right now, who are so comfortable, who are so, they're so relaxed in what they do that they don't want any change in what they do. They don't want growth anymore because they've just become too comfortable. Have you seen some, workers just sitting there and, you know, playing with their cell phones? That's all they can do. Okay. Instead of doing something that would develop their giftedness. Now, here's a question. Do you want to be average or do you want to be exceptional for God? It's a choice. Okay. It's a choice. So we can choose to be average, to stay average, or we can choose to be exceptional for God. Now, where do we need to stretch? This is very important. Where do we need to stretch? Do I need to stretch in every area of my life? Okay. The answer is um, in our abilities and in our giftedness. Okay, that's first. We need to stretch in our abilities, in our giftedness. What are you good at? What is it that God has given you that you know you're good at? Okay, and that's where you need to stretch. You see, when you stretch in the area of strength or strengths, you get challenge. But when you stretch in the areas of your weakness, you become intimidated. Now, I'll give you a good example. Say, for example, I know. Example, I know that I have a gift in, let's say, teaching or speaking. Okay. Now, there is a difference between me speaking in front of, say, 500 people. Okay. Um, I think I have spoken to more, and me singing to 500 people because I'm not good in singing. Okay. So if I stretch in the area of my strength, let's say speaking, if I can be better every day in speaking, I get motivated. I get challenged. Even if I did not do well, for example, in one speaking engagement, then I could challenge myself. I could do better next time, but not in the area of singing because I'm not naturally a good singer. So when you put me there, even if I stretch myself too hard, I will just be intimidated because that's not my giftedness. I hope you got my point. So we're not saying that we should be stretching and exceptional in every area of our life, but you should be exceptional in your strength. Okay? Because that's the gift that God has given you. It's okay for me to, be singing in choirs or just singing alone um, because I know I'm not going to be exceptional in singing. But if I am going to be average in what I am supposed to be good at, then that's wrong. Okay. The point that we just read, it's a crime against God because you did not develop the area of your giftedness, your ability. All right. Another area where you need to stretch is in important choices in life. Now, this we're not talking now about abilities and skills because that's under point in in our giftedness, in our abilities, in choices. You see, important choices are the things that you can change and that you should change. I mean, we can do it. Okay, it's a choice. For example, um, I'll give you an example. The choice to be a better husband to my wife. The choice to be the best husband that I could be for my wife. That's a choice, right? Now, I can do it and I should do it because for husbands or wives who are listening tonight, you are actually the only one that your spouse has. If that's not reason enough, motivation enough to be the best spouse, husband to your wife or wife to your husband, then who else would become better spouse to them? Because you're the only one, right? You're the only one. You're the only husband that your wife has. You're the only wife that your husband has. So might as well decide to be the best that you can be. Or parenting, for example, if you have kids or if you have a child, um, it's a choice whether you can be a better parent, the best parent that you can be, or just an average parent. So that's those are the things that we have choices. So attitude, areas of discipline. Say for example, many of us, God has given us a wonderful body. Okay, I'm not talking about the shape. I'm not talking about. It's so amazing the body that we have. Okay, science would say it's the best. It's amazing. Many of us do not actually have like um, debilitating diseases or terminal illness, right? That means what we do with our bodies are actually our choices. So if we feed this body with unhealthy food, then it will result to an unhealthy body. So what I'm saying is, if we can change our attitude about our health, since I only have one body, there's no replacement. If this, fails, that's it. might as well take care of this body. So we need to stretch on that. What kind of discipline do we need to have with our diet, with our exercise, with how we treat our bodies? And this is same with our teachability. That means being willing to learn, our priorities, what's more important to us, choosing our friends, our relationships, and any area of choice that's going to advance you and make you better. So first, we need to stretch in our abilities, in our giftedness. That's where we are good at. Okay. And then in important choices in life. I hope we all got that. Okay. It's very important that we know it's okay to be average in areas of weaknesses or in areas where I am not naturally good, or I am naturally average or below average. I am I am sure I am not going to be an exceptional singer. Okay? I am sure of that. But if I can grow, say for example, in the area of speaking, teaching, I think I can be better next year, 2 years from now, 5 years from now than what I am now. And I can use it to, you know, teach others or influence others. So what's wrong is I am going to force myself to become exceptional in singing and then be average in what I'm good at. That's what we're saying. And every one of us has this um, choice. Okay. We have this option. Next, but it's not okay to be average in areas where you're strong and have possibilities in, and of course, in important choices in our life. I hope that's clear. Brothers and sisters, this is very important that at the end of this lecture, you should be asking yourself, what am I good at that I can go beyond average and become exceptional for God? That's where I should stretch. That's where I should excel. That's where I should, push myself to become better. Now, let's proceed. The benefits of stretching: settling for the status quo ultimately leads to dissatisfaction. So people think, when you're in your comfort zones, you will have a happy life. You will live a satisfying life. The opposite is actually true, just like what we presented in the previous slides. Comfort will lead to dissatisfaction, but when there's growth, it will lead to a more satisfied life. Tension is required. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. Seek the stretch. The discomfort zone is where careers are built. You can be born with nothing and still rise to everything if you refuse to stay average. Many of us, okay, in fact, all of us, were born with nothing. But some rise to become to everything because they refuse to stay average. If you plan on being anything less than you are capable of, you will probably be unhappy all the days of your life. You have not reached your full potential. For all sad words of tongue and pen, the saddest are these: it might have been. It might have been. If only you believe that you should not stay average. Okay? Now, stretching always starts from the inside out. Okay? It has to start from within. It has to start from the will, the desire, the motivation to grow and become the best that you can be for God. Your circumstances may be uncongenial. They may not be supportive, or they may not be, uh, yeah, supportive of the growth that you want, but they shall not remain so if you but perceive an ideal and strive to reach it. You cannot travel within and stand still without, right? So if within you, you want to grow, that will ultimately manifest. It will come out. You will grow. You will find ways to grow. You will find ways to excel. You will find ways to be exceptional. Okay? Because that's your passion within. Now, this is very interesting. Jim Rohn compared human beings with, say, plants or other life forms. Every life form seems to strive to its maximum except human beings. How tall will a tree grow? As tall as it possibly can. Okay, it will just grow as tall as it possibly can. But many of us did not reach our maximum potential. We stopped growing where we should be growing to um, to be exceptional. Okay, so stretching always requires change. That means don't be afraid of change. That means if there are innovation, there are things that will be assigned to you that will challenge you. It may be hard. It may cause a lot of um, work on your part. Be willing to accept it, especially if it's your in the area of your ability or your giftedness. To grow, you must be willing to let your present and future be totally unlike your past. Your history is not your destiny. Okay, I like this quote. Um, my present and my future should not be the same. It should not be, it's totally unlike your past because I'm becoming better. I'm growing. I'm moving out of being average to being exceptional. All right. Here's another quote. Have you ever met a successful person who wasn't restless? Okay. Can you think about that? A successful person who wasn't rested, who's just too comfortable, no plan, no dream, no strategy, no design how to reach the goal, who was satisfied with where he or she was in life? No. Successful people want new challenges. They want to get up and go. And that's one of the reasons they're successful. In fact, you see this in the business community. Those who stay, okay, say for example, there are failed businesses, but successful businessmen, they diversify. If they have established one a successful business, they would jump, they would venture into another business, venture into another business, expand their business empires. And that's why they're successful because they're not resting in their laurels or in their comfort zones. They're always restless to do something more. That's why they're successful. Again, it's not too late to be what you might have been. Maybe you're thinking, oh, I'm already 50 years old, I'm already 60 years old. It's never too late. Okay. What are you good at? What is your giftedness? You can still develop it. Okay. And we don't have to be buried with that epitaph. It might have been better. Okay. Only if he believed that he was not average. And then stretching sets you apart from others. Now, there's a book by Jack and Susie Welch, Winning the Answers. And this is part of the book. It's about really how to succeed in business or in your employment. Okay. How can I quickly distinguish myself as a winner? They write, you need to over deliver. That means do the extra mile. Okay. Do more than what is expected. This is what we call not just satisfying your boss, but it's really delighting. Uh, it's giving or giving them beyond their expectations. Expand the organization's expectations of you. and then exceed them. Okay, that means many of us don't want to don't want expectations, right? Okay, we always fail with the expectations of our employers or our bosses. But here, come on, give them, let them feel that you can offer more and then exceed what they expect of you. That's how you can distinguish yourself as a winner because everybody else would just be average. Make your bosses smarter, your team more effective, and the whole company more competitive because of your energy, your creativity, and insights. Do extra research, legwork, and data crunching to give your boss something that really expands his or her thinking. Give your boss something that shocks and awes him or her, something new and interesting that she can report to his higher ups. That's how you can quickly distinguish yourself as a winner. But if you stay average, you'll just be like the rest. But if you want to set yourself apart from others, you have to go beyond what is expected of you. All right? So I think this is also true in the ministry. If people have this motivation to deliver their to I mean to impress their bosses to eventually climb up the organization's ladder to be more successful, how much more those of us who are in the ministry, when we are serving the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, should we offer him less? Should we offer him less than our best when others in the corporate world are, working hard, delivering, over delivering? What about those of us who are in the ministry? Average, so so, okay, um, just doing enough to get by without getting ourselves into trouble. Sometimes that's a problem, okay? We just are so satisfied with being average. Now, stretching can become a lifestyle. If you won't be better tomorrow than you were today, then what do you need tomorrow for? Okay? The only guarantee that tomorrow will be better is that if you're growing today. I have no time to expand on this um, quote, but it should really um, impress us. What will make tomorrow better is if I'm growing, if I'm becoming better in my giftedness and in my abilities for God. The greatest enemy of tomorrow's success is today's success, no less than the management guru Peter Drucker said it. That means some people would be satisfied with their success today, that they will not strive to be better tomorrow. That means um, if we are already satisfied with our achievement today, then tomorrow will be the first, or will be the beginning of our downfall. Okay, it's uh, it's something like that. Now, this is also interesting. Many of us, including myself, have not reached that level where I should be, right? That means most of us are convinced that we're not yet there. Okay, we are working, we are growing, we are becoming better, we are doing our best to reach our full potential. Now, is it wrong to say, you know, I'm I want to be better in this for the glory of God? I think there's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong is when you pretend to have already achieved that status, that level, just to look good. Okay, I hope I'm clear. There's nothing wrong in saying, you see, I am also a work in progress. Okay, I have not reached that point where I'm satisfied with my growth, and I'm working on it. And let's travel together. Let's grow together. I think that's not hypocrisy. Okay. What hypocrisy is when I'm telling you I've already reached that point. I've already been there, even though I know I'm not yet there, just to make me look good in front of you. That's hypocrisy. But you see, stretching can become a lifestyle. That means, every day, just being stretched to grow. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I'm not what I want to be. And this is so true. Okay. In the five areas where I'm telling you that I want to grow: spirituality, health, attitude, relationships, and equipping others. I'm not where I'm supposed to be, and I'm not what I want to be. But I'm not what I used to be. I haven't learned how to arrive. I haven't learned how to arrive. I've just learned how to keep going. Okay. I'm I'm not sure how to really get there, but I just know I just have to keep going. Um I think many of us are Filipinos, okay? I love that phrase, malayo pa pero malayo na. Some people would quote that. Yes, we're so far away from the destiny, the person that we want to become, but we've already gone far in our journey. And what matters most is that we continue moving forward, keep going to achieve becoming the best that we can be for God. Okay, it's a lifestyle. Now, stretching gives you a shot at significance. That means going beyond being successful. It's not just about being successful, it's about being significant. It's about doing God's will. It's not about being, people saying, "Oh, you're so successful, I admire you." It's it's doing something that really matters, that has eternal value. It's an everlasting investment. Okay? It's about magnifying Christ in life or in death. A possibility is a hint from God. One must follow it. Okay. We have possibility, we have potential. That's a hint that we can follow and pursue. Here's something that I want you to think about also: the difference between good and great. Okay. Um, the difference is the gap between good and great. And what closes that gap is our willingness to stretch. Okay. The good part, okay, the good place is, I'm contented. I've already done everything. I've already done my part. I'm just comfortable. But the great part, the great place is where we continue to strive and we are willing to stretch, go beyond, and be the best that we can be for God. All right, that's the difference. Um, I included this verse because I just want to prove that the Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians 11:23 to 31 was stretched. He was willing to be stretched, to undergo so much pressure, persecution, tension. Okay, all that pressure and stress in his life, all because he wants to be the best that he can be. He wants to do what God has called him to do. Okay. It's in fact in verse number 30. If I must needs glory, I will glory of the things which concern my infirmities. All those things that he has mentioned from verse 24 to verse 28, including the problems of all the churches that he has started and he has founded, all of that actually has stretched him and helped him in his ministry. And he would glory in those things. He would thank God for all those infirmities because they are stretching him to his full potential. And I'd like to, this is one of the last slides that we have. It's a difference between your comfort zone, your stretch zone, and your panic zone. Okay. Now, the comfort zone is where we want to get out, right? That's easy, simple, familiar, restful, relaxed, confident, static, that means fixed, protected, boring, understimulating, and claustrophobic. That's where we want to, especially in the areas of our um, um, choices, areas of our giftedness. We want to be in the stretch zone. New, different, challenging. active, demanding, uncertain, developing, learning, engaging, absorbing, tiring. Yes, we will be tired, but it will be satisfying. But everything has its limit. Okay, even the rubber band that we're talking about, if you stretch it too hard, eventually it will break. Okay, and that's we don't want also to stretch ourselves too hard that we go into the panic zone. That's overwhelming, stressful, scary too much. You're already burned out. You're already, you know. So we just want to transfer from the comfort zone to the stretch zone. Are you ready to stretch? Growth doesn't happen by staying in your comfort zone. Embrace the challenge, push past the limits, and unlock your true potential. And what is the law of the rubber band? We're summarizing here. Just like a rubber band, we're at our best when we're stretched beyond our comfort zone. Personal growth happens when we push ourselves to achieve more than we thought possible. However, we also want to avoid overstretching. Growth is important, but so is balance. Just like a rubber band, overstretching can break you and lead to burnout. Take breaks, recharge, and grow sustainably. Let me end with this story. I've read this illustration, I think college. The title of the um, this article is Tension in the Tank. Okay, let me read it for you. In the northeastern United States, codfish are not only delectable, they are a big commercial business. There's a market for eastern cod all over, especially in sections farthest removed from the northeast coastline. But the public demand posed a problem to the shippers. At first, they froze the cod, then shipped them elsewhere. But the freeze took away much of the flavor. So they experimented with shipping them alive in tanks of seawater. But that proved even worse. Not only was it more expensive, the cod still lost its flavor. And in addition, they become soft and mushy. The texture was seriously affected. Finally, some creative soul solved the problem in a most innovative manner. The codfish was they were placed in the tank of water along with their natural enemy, the catfish. From the time the cod left the East Coast until it arrived in its westernmost destination, those ordinary catfish chased the cod all over the tank. And you guessed it, when the cod arrived at the market, they were as fresh as when they were first caught. There was no loss of flavor, nor was the texture affected. If anything, it was better than before. What's the moral of the story? What's what made a difference? It's the tension in the tank that them kept them retain their flavor. Now, most of us would always complain about our tensions in our tank, about enemies, about people who would who would act like the catfish. But in reality, if we will take this as a challenge, it would be to our benefit and to our advantage. Okay? Because we are forced to be better and to become the best that we can be for the glory of God. And so, for our discussion questions tonight, here's the discussion questions. Who stretches me? Can you share with your group about a person or a, a group of people who stretches you? That means who just challenges you, who pushes you to become to not to be average, but to be exceptional in what you're good at. Remember, this group gets smaller as you get bigger or become better because maybe many years ago, a lot of people would stretch you. But when you become bigger and better, this group gets smaller. Okay. And then what stretches me? Ideas, experiences, stories, quotes, examples, or when you attend conventions, when you attend conferences, when you attend seminars, you're being stretched. You're being, or when you listen to preachings, whatever. Okay, maybe Bible verses. What stretches you to become the best that you can be for God? And then, if you have time, you may want to discuss why do most people want to remain average in their comfort zones rather than to be exceptional for the glory of God. All right? So those are discussion questions for you to discuss, share, learn from each other in your small group. Back to you,